There's a quiet revolution unfolding across continents, and its heartbeat echoes from the streets of Mumbai to the savannas of Africa, from the diplomatic rooms of Washington to the startup lanes of Nairobi. It doesn't wear the banner of an empire. It doesn't carry the brute force of coercion. What it carries is far more enduring: trust, tech, tradition, and the belief that true leadership comes from empowering others. That revolution has a name: India. For much of modern history, India has walked a different path. It didn't rush to dominate. It didn't stake claims by force. It didn't plant flags. But today, something extraordinary is happening. India is redefining what global power looks like. Not through conquest, but through compassion. Not through imposition, but through influence. And in doing so, India is helping lift up the world's forgotten corners while shaking hands at the world's highest tables. India is becoming a nation that helps the poorest nations rise. And simultaneously, a nation that partners with the most powerful to reshape global order. That's not a contradiction. That's a strategy. That's a vision. That's diplomacy with soul. Let's start at the grassroots. Go to Malawi, or Rwanda, or Guyana. You'll see Indian-built solar microgrids powering entire villages, clean water filtration systems made in Pune running in local clinics, and Indian-trained community health workers delivering rural care in regions where even who had once lost focus. But India doesn't arrive with cameras and PR. It arrives with toolkits and time. Across the African continent, Indian development partnerships are rewriting what foreign aid looks like. It's not a handout. It's a handshake. It's knowledge transfer. It's capacity building. Indian engineers don't just build bridges, they train locals to build the next ones. Indian hospitals don't just donate vaccines, they help design health systems. In Senegal, India co-built a supercomputer center to help process agricultural data for climate-resilient crops. In Ethiopia, it created textile hubs that employ women in sustainable clothing manufacturing. In Fiji, it delivered AI-powered early warning systems for cyclones using Indian-made satellite tech. It's not charity. It's strategy. Because when those nations thrive, they become India's partners, allies, and friends. This approach, South-South cooperation, as the experts call it, has long existed in theory. But India is doing it. Daily. Quietly. Consistently. Over 160 countries now benefit from Indian development projects, from logistics and infrastructure to education and energy. The Global South sees India not as a former colonizer, but as a fellow striver. And that changes everything. Now, here's the magic. While India is helping the world's less developed nations step into the future, it's also sitting across from the world's biggest powers and cutting game-changing deals. Think about this. India is building semiconductor fabs with the United States. It's co-developing nuclear energy plants with France. It's refining critical minerals with Australia. It's collaborating with Japan on Indo-Pacific security frameworks. It's launching joint moon missions with the European Space Agency. That's not neutrality. That's influence. That's a country playing at the highest level of global strategy and doing it on its own terms. India no longer asks for respect. It commands it. It earns it. Now, how did this happen? You have to understand something fundamental about Indian diplomacy today. It's multipolar by design. India doesn't see power as a zero-sum game. It doesn't believe that helping poor nations comes at the cost of allying with rich ones. It sees every partnership as a piece of the global puzzle. Some are about tech. Some are about trust. Some are about tradition. All of them are about building a future that's fair and firmly in India's voice. It's not just governments. Indian companies are building smart cities in Central Asia. Indian fintech is powering digital IDs in Kenya. Indian vaccine makers are reaching last-mile delivery in Bangladesh. Indian teachers are exporting Bharatiya education models from Bihar to Brazil. And here's the kicker: Indian culture is everywhere. Bollywood, yoga, Ayurveda, Sanskrit computing, cricket diplomacy, they've become vessels of soft power unlike anything the world has seen before. But it's not nostalgia. It's relevance. India is where ancient wisdom meets AI. Where ancient temples coexist with quantum labs. where street food vendors use QR codes, and where traditional artisans sell on blockchain-backed e-commerce. That blend of civilizational depth and digital ambition gives India something few nations possess: timeless confidence. And that confidence spills into how it engages the world. Let's take a closer look at India's partnerships with the superpowers. With the United States, the relationship has evolved from transactional to transformational. From software exports and H-1B visas, it's grown into joint defense platforms, clean energy collaboration, and even space exploration. India is no longer seen as just a market, it's seen as a partner in securing the global commons. India co-chairs the I2U2 group with Israel, the UAE, and the US, an innovation and tech coalition focused on food, energy, and water security. It's part of the Quad with Australia, the US, and Japan, not as a junior partner, but as a cornerstone. In Europe, India is inking defense tech transfer agreements. In the Middle East, it's helping build a corridor connecting India to the Gulf and onward to Europe, a true alternative to China's Belt and Road. India isn't opposing China. It's offering a better model: transparent, sovereign, scalable, and sustainable. And let's be clear, this isn't just elite diplomacy. The Indian diaspora is now over 35 million strong in over 150 countries. And it's not just doctors and engineers anymore. It's CEOs, senators, creators, professors. The diaspora acts as ambassadors of Indian values of work ethic, family, education, and pluralism. Wherever they are, they carry India's soft power in their hearts. But India doesn't forget where it came from. It doesn't chase power for the sake of it. Its rise is grounded in something deeper, a civilizational belief that the world is one family, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. That belief shapes everything: diplomacy, trade, aid, alliances. India's humanitarian missions during natural disasters, from Nepal's earthquake to the Turkey-Syria quake, from evacuations in Ukraine to Sudan, have showcased how India acts swiftly, compassionately, and efficiently. Indian naval ships, medical teams, and transport aircraft have become a lifeline during global emergencies. And now, India is formalizing these missions into structured frameworks: disaster diplomacy, medical diplomacy, climate diplomacy. It's building early warning systems across Asia. It's helping small island nations digitize health infrastructure. It's planting mangroves in the Maldives, helping build seawalls in Sri Lanka, and offering satellite coverage to Africa. You see, India doesn't wait for a crisis to show up. It builds resilience before the storm. And that right there is the difference between a nation that performs and a nation that leads. Leadership isn't measured by GDP or military might alone. It's measured by the number of hands you lift as you rise. India is lifting millions, not just within its borders, but across the world. And while it lifts, it partners with the world's top powers on its terms. No longer begging, no longer balancing, but boldly defining. This is not a story of contradiction. It's a story of completion. India is the bridge between North and South, between past and future, between tradition and tech, between struggle and success. And make no mistake, the world is noticing. So whether it's a child in Ghana attending a school powered by Indian solar panels, or a startup founder in San Francisco collaborating with a data scientist in Hyderabad, or a diplomat in Tokyo quoting the Bhagavad Gita in the context of AI ethics, they're all tuning into the same signal, the India signal. An India that doesn't shout, it shows. An India that doesn't colonize, it collaborates. An India that doesn't impose, it inspires. And maybe, just maybe, that's the kind of global power we've been waiting for. One that doesn't lead from the top, but from among. This is India, the helping hand of the South, the steady friend of the West, the tech engine of the East, the spiritual heart of the world. From the Himalayas to the Horn of Africa, from Silicon Valley to Varanasi, from moon landings to mangrove planting, India is here, helping, partnering, leading, and it's just getting started.